I've been a head coach for a year, okay, and I'm fully aware. Like you don't have to remind me of my team's record, and I understand. Imagine, by the way, if you got the job right now, this is essentially what happened, right? And uh, you didn't have a lot of money. Now you got to go to market and try and find a team. Right? It would be difficult. There's a school in our league which fired their coach last week that's going to have the same difficulty this year. And then you factor in injuries and whatever, and probably your own inadequacies as a young coach and a young staff, and things you didn't do right, and overscheduling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so these are not excuses. To you, they may be. To me, it's the reality of the biz. We lost, I would say, six games, where the competitive balance of the officiating was completely out of whack. That no matter what we would have done, I felt like we weren't getting what I would call a fair whistle. And a fair whistle is not what was missing last night. And what happens when you tweet out something like, man, just it feels like two different games being officiated one end to the other, is you get response tweets from people or talking about it, whatever they are. If you go and search my timeline and then you click on whoever sent it to me, they live in Oklahoma City, in Tulsa, in Norman, in Moore, in Edmond. They are Oklahoma City fans. Everybody else saw essentially the same thing, which is though the foul disparity is not that great, and let's also be honest, Anthony Edwards did not play particularly well. No points in the fourth quarter, and the Minnesota Timberwolves seemed to shrink at times in the moment. And in the second half, I thought Chet Holmgren, especially in the fourth quarter, a couple cuts, couple tip dunks, sort of became another weapon. And obviously, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's a tremendous player. But that was James Harden 2.0. That was ridiculous. That was not basketball. And here's what I mean. It's one thing if he drives in, throws his head back, falls down, throws it up, and you call a foul. If at the other end, that same variety of fouls is being called. My biggest issue with officiating in 1 year of coaching in college basketball is not one call here and one call there. Oh, you killed me with that call, or you killed me with this call. It's that what's a foul there has to be a foul here. And I understand that sometimes styles can dictate, as well as personnel, can dictate what's called a foul, what's not called a foul. And what Oklahoma City does defensively is they put tremendous on-ball pressure, but they are using their hands, not just their body. And look, that's okay if you're going to allow the defenders to use their hands. The problem with it is it's not allowed at the other end. It's not allowed. Now, Shai is a different player than Anthony Edwards, and what's also different is Oklahoma City is playing deep and heavy into the gaps. The gaps are if Mike Conley's on the right wing and, I don't know, Jalen Williams, or no, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is guarding Mike Conley on the right wing, and Alex Caruso is guarding Anthony Edwards at the top of the key, they are playing almost collegiate-style help defense. Right? It's called loading to the basketball. So what happens is, hey, you'll get people, and I've seen it throughout ESPN, and all they do is they look at the stats like, wow, Minnesota, all they did was shoot threes. Oklahoma City drove the basketball. Oklahoma City gets the fouls. Fairly accurate. Now, some of it comes from, hey, when you take one dribble to your right there in help is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have to kick it out, and Mike Conley has to make a three. Right? Some of that is the defense determining what you take the right shot. But some of it is the fact that Oklahoma City is is frankly blatantly old school hand checking and getting up into you, which is called a foul in the regular season, not called a foul in the postseason. At the other end, they're officiating it like any other NBA regular season game, where you can't touch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he's going to throw his head back or fall down, and they automatically call a foul. It is two different games. And what you tell your players is, hey, you got to adjust to the officiating. But it's really hard to adjust when it's not one overall template for how the game's being officiated. Instead, it's one game at one end and one game at the other. And good, I'll grant you, some of it comes down to spacing. Some of it comes down to stylistically. Oklahoma City is helping a great deal. It cuts off some of that penetration. But a lot of it has to do with, hey, dude, are you going to let us put our hands on people tonight? If you are, great. We won't complain. But if you're going to let them do it, you got to let us do it. And just because he falls down does not means he gets the call. And look, you're talking to somebody who goes to Oklahoma City Thunder games. I'm a fan of everything that they do. Okay, what happens is you'll get the, oh, you're a hater, you're this. Shut up. Actually watch the game. This is what was super frustrating. I told you guys, I'm in the stands in Game 7, and Jokic drives in, spins around, gets fouled, gets to the line. Some guy's like, oh, free throw merchant. And I just said, hey, that's like pot calling kettle black. Shai is the worst or the best, depending on your perspective, in the league at being a free throw merchant. So, and here's what will happen. They'll go on the road, and he won't get a call in games 3 and 4. And they'll come back home in Game 5 and then Game 6. And usually, this is where the Denver series was different. Usually in Game 7, it's a very evenly officiated game. It was not in the last series. It was not last night. There is no one who can tell me. And again, the first half of the game, I was passively watching. Was at dinner with some friends. I came home, watched the second half, and Shai woke up, started playing, and it became a snowball effect. But what's interesting is, and some of it is Minnesota kind of falling asleep, and Oklahoma City getting away with a little bit at the end of the half was a lot like the end of the half of Denver Game 7, where they get a couple steals, get a couple layups, and they feel better about themselves going to halftime. But I went back and watched the first half. It was replayed today. I can't remember, it was NBA TV or whatever I was watching. I was like, dude, it's two different games, one end to the other. And there's even videos out there of all the fouls that Shai drew, and the fact that I think it was like 12 or 13 fouls that he drew, and like 5 of them feel like they're legit fouls. And it's just embarrassing. And we can say, well, Jordan got calls and whatever. The difference in the Jordan got calls and the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, multitude of things. One, Michael Jordan was a multi-time MVP. He's literally the greatest player of all time. And, yeah, you give him the benefit of the doubt. Two, when he played against the Detroit Pistons, they would try and hurt him with multiple guys. It wasn't like it was touch foul here, touch foul there. Okay? He drove in to get contact, and he got hammered. Different sport, different game. And then three, there wasn't the disparity of one end to the other feeling like there's a different template for how a game's going to be officiated like it is with Oklahoma City. And what will happen is all my friends in Oklahoma listeners like, oh, dude, you're just a hater. You're a hater. Like, no, I'm not. I actually think they're awesome. They got good culture, good depth. They move the basketball. I don't think Shai is anywhere near the best player in the league, even if he'll get the MVP of the league, because he doesn't really make everybody around him better. And he's not a top-level defender. And you can tell me all you want about Jokic and his defense at the rim. If you watch him, he's unbelievably crafty at defending and trying to not foul and defending the rim and using his body and rebounding and all those other things. But if you want to make the argument that he's the most valuable player, I would say, yeah, because he scores, he gets the other team in foul trouble, which helps take starters out of the game. He can set kind of the tempo to the game. He puts the other team in an argumentative and defensive sort of position where they don't know, do I pressure him or do I play off of him? Because if I pressure him, they'll call me for a foul. If I play off of him, he's probably going to score. So Shai has a tremendous amount of value to that team, to that roster, to how they play. I don't think he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and I think most people would probably agree with that. But unbelievably valuable last night, his ability to get to the free throw line and to frustrate the opponent, despite his inaccuracy shooting in the first half, I thought was the biggest reason the Thunder won the game.